Hello everyone, this is Mohammed Miliki and today I have very useful tips for you on how to maintain your social brand online and make it easy for people to recognize you and communicate with you for both social and business benefits. However, these are not my own tips. In this special video, I'm interviewing one of my own heroes, Teza Moody. Teza works with me at Redify, but the first time I talked to him was when a friend who works at Microsoft recommended him to me to learn more about Redify before joining. He is a frequent speaker in several conferences posted by Microsoft and the community. He is also the youngest of a very few principal consultants at Redify, which is pretty much the top technical rank in the company that specializes in employing only top developers around the world. The experience he gained via his work and community challenges made him the right person to ask for advice. Let's see what he has. So, Tezan, you're a legend. You're one of the very few principal consultants in Redify and member of our elite chief technology group. You own your own business as well, right?
That's correct,
This
yes.
stuff, and you're SB.NET MVP, you're SB.NET Insider. You give presentations pretty much all around the world, like US,
Yeah,
Europe,
US,
New
Europe,
Zealand.
Japan. It's a fun little trip. It's good.
Oh, that's awesome. So, given all your presentation and stuff, I thought I'd ask you how do you make sure when you're going to a conference overseas that people that you happen to meet in this conference will be able to find you online, and is it important at all to?
So there's a couple of things which I do quite consciously on that front. One of them, first of all, is I don't use a handle at all, in that all of my online presence is just my name. So it's just Taith Modi, right? My Twitter handle is just Taith Modi, Facebook.com/Twitter. My blog is Taith Modi, all of that kind of stuff. Some people choose to use handles. My preference is not to. So that gives the continuity. If people see, say, my conference badge, or if they see me doing a presentation or on the program, it's very easy for them to look me up afterwards, is one thing. The other thing is recognizing that as an individual, my face is my brand. So I use a photo of me kind of as my logo. One of the big things is also consistency. So I have the same photo is the headshot that I use for conferences. So it'll be on, say, the conference website or on the brochures or things like that. Is the same photo that I then use on my Twitter as my avatar. Is the same photo that's in the sidebar of my blog. It's all linked through so that when people see that, they can recognize me. They might know me from online and they can recognize me in person or vice versa. And then also provide that kind of that link between those different services as well. At a glance, having the same photo there and only changing that every few years, it makes it very easy for people to trace across those. So that's quite a conscious thing that I do on purpose.
Did you see any benefits of that? Like, did you see that people come to you and say, "Hey, you mentioned this conference"?
Definitely. So I get people who know me from online, and then I turn up at an event somewhere, and I get people who walk up and know who I am, and they can recognise me. You'll see that even people like Scott Hanselman is obviously very well known. On his blog, he's even got a photo of himself there still, right? Because that's who he is. So that links up. The other thing that I do is at the end of my presentations, I'm quite conscious about the final slide that I put up is always like a questions slide, but I put my Twitter handle and my email address on that slide. And because I'll prefix it as, okay, does anybody have any questions now? Or if you have any follow-up questions, you can ask them through these online channels. And I'll leave that information up during the questions. One of the things that I find some people do is, and what I used to do, is you put your contact details up at the start where nobody really cares yet because they're not interested or they haven't seen the content. And then at the end, you skip over those final slides and then just drift into questions. So I put my contact details up at the end and I'll leave them on screen while we're doing questions and as people are walking out of the room. And then I'll quite often get follow-ups of people saying, I saw that presentation or something like that. That also translates well into where talks get recorded on video, because then that content's available nice and obviously at the end of the video, even if the video is getting posted across multiple sites and loses the metadata that goes with it.
Great. So that is from the presenter side of things. How about the professional side of things? you have your own business. You're doing great job with Certify as well. So when you go on your trips, how do you make sure that you know your colleagues and business partners and stuff, if they need you, they'll still be able to find you and contact you?
So I am very contactable, irrespective of whether I'm traveling or not. I kind of have to be because I travel a lot by choice. So I make sure that I'm always still available on email and things like that. I don't actually set an out of office message. People don't actually know if I'm in or out of the country, which is kind of nice. Just in how I communicate, I don't really use things like text messages very much. So, for example, I use Facebook messaging or Skype because they'll follow me across any phone network and those types of things. But I'm also quite public about sharing where I am and what I'm up to. I guess I don't use my Twitter as just a work channel. I also use it to share a bit of lifestyle stuff of which city I'm in and those types of things. And I'll often put a call out when I get to a city of, hey, I'm in Melbourne, who wants to go for a drink tonight? Those types of things. And I'll do that publicly on Twitter. I'll also do that within the company. So within Redify, if, say, I'm in Brisbane, I'll just send an email out to our Queensland distribution list and say, hey guys, I'm in Brisbane, who wants to have a catch up? And that's just a social thing, but it's also something where it's great to send that out broadly rather than just specific people, and then I'll get to meet some new people along the way and have some good conversations.
You also have some interesting tricks with the phone, how you manage your phone numbers and stuff.
Yeah, I have phone numbers flying everywhere. So phone, I have a Google Voice account, gives me a US cell number. When I'm in the US, I'm just grabbing different SIM cards every time, so they change. So I hide them behind my Google Voice number so that it's consistent. Then when I'm out of the country, Google Voice provides me with voicemail on that number, which I can access from a web interface. So that covers the US. When I'm traveling, I then redirect my Skype if I'm not online to my Google Voice, so that then redirects to my cell phone. So if anybody calls me on Skype, it comes all the way through to my mobile phone. When I'm not traveling, I keep that redirect in place as well, so that all my voicemail goes to one place, being Google Voice, rather than getting spread across Skype and Google and everywhere. In Australia, I predominantly publish my Skype name and my Twitter handle and things like that, rather than publishing my phone number so much. But if people do call my phone number, it redirects to Skype, which goes to Google Voice, which goes to my cell phone if I'm traveling. And then for Europe, I do a similar thing. So I maintain a UK SIM card, which will roam across Europe, and then I redirect my Skype through to that. So there's a bit of routing involved, but the end result is that all my voicemail ends up in one place, which is Google Voice. I publish two things, which is my Skype name and my Australian mobile number, and they find me anywhere in the world. And that's kind of my cost to redirect the call, but that goes through VoIP, so that's pretty cheap. And then I always have a local service wherever I am. So if I'm in the US, I'm on a US SIM card. Europe, I'm on a European SIM card. So that way I've got full access to data to enable all those services. And that allows me to kind of travel without people really realizing that I'm traveling, because I'm still fully connected.
Yeah, that's awesome actually. The interesting thing about this whole thing is that it does work. Like most people just assume it doesn't, and would never try just because they assume it doesn't.
Yeah, I guess that's one thing I found out was I used to, I had all this in place, but then I'd still send an out-of-office message, kind of about setting expectations of how quick I would be to respond, or thinking about time zones and things like that. The problem was then that people would assume that I wasn't contactable. Oh, he's out of office, he's in Oslo, we won't be able to get in contact with him. So I've stopped setting the out-of-office message because I'm actually equally contactable. When I'm in Australia, I can't answer calls all the time because I'll be on client sites. When I'm in Oslo, I might not be able to answer a call because it's 4 o'clock in the morning, or I'm in the middle of a presentation or something. So I just stopped telling people that, and then just let them call or email or text anyway.
All right. So these were very great tips. I wonder if you have any more like things that TASM does, for that you would recommend for people who also want to maintain, their own social brand and identity.
I guess one of the big things for me is about being accessible as well as being findable. So that entails not just putting details out there is one thing, but not having too many calls to action of so many channels. I see some presenters, they'll put up their contact slide and they have a million different ways to contact them because they're on every network. I'm quite conscious of, I publish 2 channels. I publish my Twitter handle, being somewhere where people can have a public conversation with me. And I also put my email address up if somebody wants to contact me privately. That's something else where don't be afraid to share your email address. You see a lot of very big, important public people, Scott Goo, Scott Hanselman, all those types of people, they put their email address up on a slide and they don't get abused through it. I get very, despite publishing my email address for years now, I don't really get an incredible amount of traffic through from that, but I get high value emails where people want to contact me about a particular thing. So I'm not afraid to do that. And then I just publish those two channels is one thing. So that's quite advantageous, I find.
Great. So thank you very much, Ted. This was very helpful, and I may try to use it again for more videos if they are going to be that useful. So
Sure.
thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed Ted's tips and found them useful just like I did. If you want to connect with him, as he mentions, the best way is his Twitter handle, TezemAudi, and his email, tezem@audi.com.au. You can also check his website, tath.am, and it has links to his blog and sessions and everything else you want to know about him. If you have any questions or suggestions for this video or coming videos, please let me know. My Twitter handle is @miligi. My blog is gurustop.net, and you can always just email me at eng.miligi@gmail.com. Thanks a lot for watching.